Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Shrimad Bhagwatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Krishna as the source of all incarnation, verse number 43. Krishne Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadibhi Saha Kalau Nashta Drishamesha Puranarko Dhunoditaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna has his eternal Dhama or abode where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. After his eternal abode is his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc. are not therefore creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to re-establish codes of religion, which are directly enacted by him. Except God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, our relationship with him, our duties in relationship with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense employment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the needs of the body. They have no information of the spirit soul beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego, but they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. They can risk their lives to become a dog or hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga, and he returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from the material world, he empowered Sri Vasudeva through Narada to compile the messages of Srimad Bhagwatam. And Srimad Bhagwatam is the summum bonum of life, Lord Sri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see also Lord Krishna, Lord Sri Krishna in person. They are identical. This verse, Krishne Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnanadibihi Saha Kalo Nashta Drishamesha Puranarko Adhunoditaha. This is the verse spoken by Suta Goswami to everyone in that forest of Naimisharanya. All the sages have assembled, and all of them are asking questions to Suta Goswami, headed by Rishi, and these are the replies that he's giving. So this specific answer is the reply. Bhagavatam in the beginning has 6 questions, and Shaunaka Rishi is asking these questions, and Suta Goswami is replying, and one by one. It's a conversation. There are 2 conversations that goes on in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, and conversation between Suta Goswami and Saunaka Rishi and all other sages. So these are the 2 conversations. So there are 6 questions, and this is the reply. This verse is the reply to the 6th question that was asked. So before we get into this, what was the question that was specifically asked, and this is the reply. So the question that was asked was, since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, because this happened, this instance is, thank you. So Krishna has just left. He has wound up his pastimes on the surface of the earth. He exhibited wonderful pastimes in Mathura, Vrindavan, Dwaraka, Kurukshetra. He is gone. So now the sages are inquisitive to know that since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, has left, he has departed to his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have gone now for shelter. Because Krishna is Dharma personified, and he has left. So where is Dharma residing now? And the answer is today's verse, Krishne Swadhamopagate. After Krishna has gone back, after finishing his pastimes, gone back to the spiritual world, and he has gone back with Dharma Jnana Adibihi. With Dharma Jnana, because Krishna was Dharma, Krishna was Jnana. Now that he has left all this place, so where is all the Dharma and Jnana residing? He's saying, Puranarko Adhunoditaha. It is residing in this Srimad Bhagavatam. And Krishna has gone, and because Krishna has gone, what is the result of everyone in this material world? It says, Kalau Nashta Drishamesha. Our vision suppose in this place, suddenly the lights are switched off. We have eyes, right? But because there is no light, our eyes also have no power to see. That is a limitation we have. We need light. I can see you, you can see me, because there is light. So similarly, in Kaluga, we have all lost our vision. That is the spiritual vision that is being spoken about. Because we are all spirit souls, we must have a spiritual vision. And that spiritual vision has been lost. So Bhagavatam says there are 5 reasons why we have lost our spiritual vision. Because Kaluga is the age of quarrel, age of hypocrisy, age of iron age where things deteriorate. So it is said that the 5 defects of Kali Yuga are Alpa Ayushaha, we all are very short-lived. Earlier people would live for much longer. And Mandaha, we are less intelligent. Sumanda Mateo, if we are less intelligent, I may take advice from someone who is intelligent. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, Manda Sumanda Mateo, the advice that we get from others is also Sumanda Mateo. Sumanda Mateo means our advice is also less intelligent, because everyone is less intelligent in today's age. That's the unfortunate situation of Kaluga. So we are less intelligent, people are less intelligent. Mandha, Sumanda Mateo, Mandya Bhagya. And our fortune is also very low. We have very less fortune. We don't have much pious credits within us. So Mandaha, Sumanda Mateo, Manda Bhagya, Hi Upadritaha. And above all, we are all always disturbed, full of anxieties. So in such a situation, in such an unfortunate situation, where can human being find shelter and gain real knowledge? That is being asked. So Prabhupada, in the purport, he has commented very nicely on the Nashta Drisham. We are going to actually, distribute books of Srila Prabhupada for the next 2 months. Why this book distribution is so important? It's the mercy of Lord Krishna, the mercy of a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, that we are going to distribute it to the entire world. So this is not an ordinary thing, because people have lost their vision and they need a torch. In darkness I cannot. So when there is darkness, what is the first thing? Suppose there is darkness in the room. I have to remove the darkness. Can I bring an instrument by which I can remove the darkness from this room? No, like if there is some, something is smelling or something is bad here, I will remove it, right? This is smelling, this is not good, this is some waste thing, I'll remove it. But to remove the darkness requires a different process. We cannot remove the darkness, it's not possible. We have to just bring in light. The moment you switch on the light, darkness is immediately dispelled. When the sun is set in the night, no matter how much we try to light this entire world with electricity, it will still be called night. It is dark. But only when the sun rises, it will be daytime. So this Nashta Drisham, we must realize the situation that people are in today's day and age. And when we understand that, and not just people, it's there within us also. So Prabhupada is commenting very significant words. He's writing in the purport, the conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy. So this is our situation. We are all entrapped by the material energy. And now we all of us have an employment, right? If you're students, it's different, but many of us will have an employment going up further. What is our employment? So basically, Prabhupada is saying we are all employed in the matter of sense gratification. That is how he puts it. And then he is writing here that the current generation of Kaluga, they are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the needs of the body. They have no information of the spirit soul. They have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. There is an ultimate aim of life, and we have not only lost that aim of life, we have completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. And for all these reasons, because the situation like this is a situation in Kali Yuga. Here it is written that the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared just before a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga. And he returned to his eternal home, practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all pretentious principles of religiosity. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Sri Vyasadeva through Narada to compile the messages of Shrimad Bhagwatam. And thus both Bhagavad Gita and the Shrimad Bhagwatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can also see Lord Krishna in person. They are identical. So the light is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we should not consider the Srimad Bhagavatam or any book for that matter of Srila Prabhupada just as a book. There is no difference between Srimad Bhagavatam and the personality of Krishna himself. They are one and the same. There is absolutely no difference. So, Bhagavatam contains the solution to all our problems. That's why Prabhupada, we say the Bhagavatam, this is the Vedic encyclopedia. Encyclopedia means any question that you have, the answer is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana. Purana Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. And it is the dearmost Purana for the for the Vaishnavas. Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Shri Bhagavatam Ishyate. Vedanta generally means the Vedic knowledge. And Vedanta includes Vedas and many other spiritual Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Itihasas, so many spiritual books we have. So in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned, the position of Bhagavatam itself, Sarva Vedanta. You put together all the Vedic knowledge. And then if you want to find the Sara, the essence of that, Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate. It is the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is so interesting to note how the Bhagavatam is beginning, that right in the beginning, in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is written, first verse is like an invocation. And in the second verse it is written, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite. Who wrote this? Who compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam? The author Vyasadeva, which is what is being written here. And Kimva Parer Ishvara. What necessity is there for any other book? So Prabhupada also writes in the purport just two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we read and hear and make people read and hear these books, then it is mentioned, Sadhya Hridi Avarudhyate Atra Kritibihi Shushrusubhis Tat Shanat. It is said that one who simply submissively hears the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam, what will happen? Sadhyo means at once, without any delay. Hridi Avarudhyate Tat Shanat. So there are two words used. Sadhya, Tatshanat. Sadhya means at once. Tatshanat means without delay. What will happen immediately without delay? Hridi Avarudhyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can be captured in the heart of a devotee. Krishna will manifest in the heart of a devotee. Prabhupada writes elsewhere that simply by daily hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is at once arrested in the heart of a devotee. Right now, Maya, material things have arrested, it has taken place in our heart. But if you want all these things to be removed, we simply have to give oral reception, submissively hear, read Srila Prabhupada books. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne parama purushe. If you simply hear about Lord Krishna, what will happen? Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne parama purushe bhakti utpadyate pumsam. Bhakti will awaken in our heart simply by hearing, nothing else. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne parama purushe, hearing about Krishna. And shoka, moha, bhaya, apaha. Shoka means lamentation, or shoka means all the distresses. Moha means illusion. Bhaya means fear. They will all be dissipated from our heart. So that is why Srila Prabhupada had received a special instruction from his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, and he had told Srila Prabhupada that if you get money, print books. Because today there is darkness in this age, darkness everywhere, and the light is only knowledge. Tamasi ma jyotirgamaha. So that jyoti, that light, is the Shrimad Bhagwatam. And unless why our hearts are filled with darkness? Because we are hearing so many things, all material things. The newspaper, the WhatsApp message, the social media. We are filled. Every day morning we get up and we read newspapers. That's the practice. So we are hearing so much material news, and that's why our hearts are filled with darkness. So easy. Similarly, you hear about Krishna, hearts will be filled with light. It's light, hearts will be cleansed. So Bhaktisiddhanta had given specific instruction to Srila Prabhupada: if you ever get money, print books and distribute books. He said, Amar ichha chilo, boi kora. My desire was to prepare nice books and distribute it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's father and grand spiritual master, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In the 1800s, he had written a book, Precepts, Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya. And in 1800, you can imagine what day and age. He had sent it to American universities, to London, to McGraw University. He was sending his books, sitting in a small place in Navadvip in Bengal. He was thinking of how to reach the book outside India, how to distribute the books outside India, because they were all firmly convinced that if people are in ignorance, people do not know what is spiritual life, and that is why they are suffering. They have to take to the books, and only then spiritual books, message of Bhagavad Gita, message of Shrimad Bhagwatam, spoken by a pure devotee, only then life will come to them. Only then they will be happy. So Srila Prabhupada carried this message of making books and distributing it very deep inside his heart. And when did Srila Prabhupada start writing books and distributing books? It was not when he went to America, 1966. Srila Prabhupada, he was born in 1896. In 1944 was the first Back to Godhead magazine that Srila Prabhupada brought out. And you know what was the year 1944? 1944 was the year when we were in the midst, thick and thin, of World War II. Imagine there's a world war going on in the country and all over the world. Prabhupada lived through two world wars, World War I and World War II. He saw both of them. He was born in 1896. Now imagine when a world war is going, and Prabhupada was living where? In Calcutta. And Calcutta at that time was being bombed by Japan. And we have also heard stories from our grandfather. Some of us would have heard these stories. And Prabhupada also writes. So, Calcutta is being bombed. And people, there was mass exodus from Calcutta. They were fleeing to different places to escape from the raids of Japanese bombs. And Prabhupada is thinking, I have to print books. I have to write books. You see his thinking? He's not thinking of a favorable situation when I can write books and then when I can distribute books. In the most unfavorable situation, he's thinking how to write and how to distribute. And as we hear from Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada single-handedly was writing, editing, going to the printer, getting it printed, further proofreading, collecting all the copies, and then and he himself would go and distribute it. Just see the enthusiasm, the determination that Prabhupada had to distribute books. And then, so he started in 1944. World War is going on. Because Prabhupada was firmly convinced, and Prabhupada got this conviction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the first time, Prabhupada asked Bhaktisiddhanta, who will listen to your spiritual messages? India first needs to gain freedom. Because we are a dependent country. We have become slaves. First we should gain freedom and then people will listen to your messages. Bhaktisiddhanta said, this message of Lord Chaitanya, this message of chanting Hare Krishna, the message of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagwatam is so important and exalted and elevated that it cannot wait for anything. It has to be done right now. And the problems that we are seeing in society, we are thinking first, the problems have to subside, my life has to be, I should be free from all the problems. Then no, the way to subside the problems is take to these messages of Srimad Bhagwatam. So Prabhupada had that conviction. So 1944 he started. And so he started. The first volume of the first Back to Godhead magazine came. And then he started writing. Prabhupada in those days would address world problems and he would give a spiritual perspective to it. So 1944 he brought out a few issues. And then after a few issues, what happened? During those days, if you have to get paper, you had to take sanction from the government of India. The paper was, not everything was like how it is today. Everything was under sanctions. You need to have licenses, you need to have permissions to start a trade, to start a business or to do anything. So paper was limited, and because the World War II was going on, paper supply was, was affected. And so Prabhupada received a note from the Secretary of the Government of India that we cannot spare paper for your Back to Godhead magazine. Papers are required for some more important work, for so much of communication, and we have very little paper. So his Back to Godhead magazine stopped. And then what did Prabhupada do? Prabhupada was undeterred in everything that he did. So he wrote a letter to the Secretary of the Government of India explaining to him how that in this time of chaos and this turmoil in the world, it is a spiritual knowledge that is most important for people, because people's hearts are unclean. We have become selfish. We are full of greed, hatred, jealousy, and that is why this world war. So Prabhupada wrote a letter to them explaining requesting them not to stop the supply of the paper for the Back to Godhead and please sanction it. He wrote an elaborate letter and he did not receive a reply, or rather he came to know that no, this will not be accepted. It was refused, permission was refused. Then Prabhupada wrote a second letter. Prabhupada did not give up. Second letter he wrote, again explaining the whole thing. Again the reply came, sorry Abhay Charan Prabhu, Swamiji, we cannot allow you to print this Back to Godhead magazine. I understand you have a noble cause, but paper is very limited. We have so many other needs to be affected. And it was refused for the second time also. Imagine, war is going on, 2 refusals. But Prabhupada is still undeterred, undaunted. He writes a third letter requesting the government of India not to place sanction on the letter, on the paper and allow. And when he writes the third letter, the reply comes, "Okay, Swamiji, we grant the permission of paper for your Back to Godhead magazine." The important point to note is, see the situation, the circumstances Prabhupada was in the midst of World War III, trying to awake India, awake the whole world with the spiritual knowledge. And then soon after this paper was sanctioned, the first edition that came, the first Back to Godhead magazine that came out after the paper was resanctioned, it was a stop for some few months. Prabhupada's first article was, in the Back to Godhead, the headlines it was, "Thanks to the government of India." He acknowledged that the government of India also recognized the importance of this message and distribution of this message in this most hour of need. So Prabhupada, very wonderfully, he is a pure devotee. Actually, we have to hear these books are no ordinary books. They are no ordinary books. It is the realization of a pure devotee. And when we hear and distribute the words of a pure devotee, it has spiritual potency. That's how we all got converted. All of us will have a story how we joined, right? Some will say kirtan, some will say prasadam, some will say this, that. All of us have a different story. But all of us have one uniform story. It is the books of Srila Prabhupada that inspired us and made us join. These books, the teachings, they are instructions filled with life. When you read Bhagwatam written by Prabhupada, when you read books written by Prabhupada, it is like it dispels the darkness of ignorance that is there in our heart. And you are pleasing Prabhupada, pleasing a pure devotee. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. If a pure devotee is pleased, you please Lord Shri Krishna. So these are no ordinary books. So Prabhupada would write, and very like when the war was going on, just to share a small line that Prabhupada wrote, it's a war that's going on and people were fleeing. There was mass exodus from Calcutta. So Prabhupada writes in the Back to Godhead magazine that people are afraid of them being raided by the bombs of by Japanese bomb, and so they are running away. But wherever you run away, you may leave Calcutta and may be saved and spared from the Japanese bomb. You may save your bodies, but wherever you go away, unless and until you hear the messages of Lord Krishna, your bodies will be raided by the bombs of the laws of material nature. So we are thinking we can save ourselves from these bombs, from this war. No, one day the body will come to an end. By birth, death will come, old age will come, disease will come. The kleshas, adhyatmik, adhibhautik, adi, and one day we will die. Instead of dying today, we'll die tomorrow or die a few days later. But death is sure. And after that, where are we going? We have no idea. So this is knowledge. So like this, Prabhupada wrote all these articles, and Prabhupada wanted that devotees distribute books. And Prabhupada, when he went to America also, when Prabhupada went to America, what was his belongings? He had nothing. He had no money. He had 40 rupees with him, and that 40 rupees rupee currency will not work in America. And even if you get it converted, it's like a one day spent in New York. He had no belongings, just a little bit of cereal and one umbrella and just 2 pairs of dhoti. But he had one great belonging. Just before going to America, Prabhupada had translated the Shrimad Bhagwatam into 3 volumes, and he was carrying with him 200 volumes of Shrimad Bhagwatam when he was going to America. And Prabhupada was saying, imagine, today how many of you can carry 200 volumes and go out for book distribution? That is 200 volumes, each volume, 200 books, each volume into 3. 600 books Srila Prabhupada was carrying with him. Because he knew that this is the only solace for people. That much was his conviction. Prabhupada would write books from early morning, 12 o'clock, midnight, till 4 o'clock in the morning. Because he knew that these books are everything. Without these books, there is no life. So, why we must go and distribute books? This is a very special month of the year. Prabhupada started this book marathon, when he went to America, because this December month is the time, so it's called the book marathon, because this is the time when devotees take extra effort to go and distribute books of Srila Prabhupada. So I have a few points. Why we should, somebody you tell, okay, we have to distribute books. We understood the importance of books by hearing this message, Bhakti will awaken and Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, Apaha. Now, why we must distribute and some of the fears that we have generally while book distribution, how to allay those fears or how to understand them. First of all, we must distribute books because we must realize that Prabhupada wrote these books, he published them, he sold them, everything he himself personally did. He worked very hard to give us these books. He gave us these books, he gave these books to us. So if Prabhupada worked so hard to give us these books, and he's our spiritual master, we should be grateful to Prabhupada, we should show our gratitude to Prabhupada that Prabhupada gave me these books and he's telling me to distribute these books. I will also distribute these books to others because that was Prabhupada's desire. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked Prabhupada, please help me by printing books, distribute books. And just like Prabhupada held Bhaktisiddhanta, he obeyed the orders of Bhaktisiddhanta in achieving his dreams. Similarly, Prabhupada also had a dream. Prabhupada wanted us to distribute books. So, fulfilling the dreams of the spiritual master, what more is there in life? Prabhupada, it is said in the Bhagwatam, Prabhupada is writing in the 4th canto, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. This was the Srila Prabhupada's mission. Now, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakrittama. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita that one who distributes this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge of Gita to all is his dearmost devotee, and no one else is more dear to him than he who is engaged in distributing his books. So Krishna, after speaking the entire Bhagavad Gita, in the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is saying, who is the most dear to me and no one else is more dear to me. Two ways he puts it. The most dear and no one else more dear to him. And he's saying, he who is distributing his message. You see? So how many of you would like to become dear to Krishna? The answer is here. And it's very important to note that there it is mentioned, distributes this knowledge. If you I will open the Bhagavad Gita and let's read what is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Yedam paramam guhyam mad bhakti shabidhasyati. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And he will come back to me. Now, are we distributing books to devotees? So how do you explain this? Krishna is saying, give this knowledge to devotees, because otherwise he will not be able to understand. So Prabhupada in one lecture, he very nicely explains this point, how the Krishna's instruction is, we have to distribute this knowledge to devotees. But we are distributing it to everybody, to non-devotees also. So Prabhupada gives an example of Madhvacharya, that he was given a mantra to be chanted, and he was told that this mantra is very powerful. Anybody who chants this mantra will get liberated, will get mukti. And he should not share this mantra with anyone, because the Guru had specifically given that mantra to him. So he realized, oh, this mantra, and you're not supposed to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, right? So he realized, if this is the power of the mantra, that anybody whom I give it to, he can get liberated, he can get mukti, he can get moksha, then why not distribute this mantra to everybody? But for that, he will have to go to hell. Because the Guru said you should not, hell means because he is disobeying the orders of the spiritual master. Spiritual master has told this is a secret mantra, it should not be given. So he starts distributing it because he wants more than his benefit, he wants to benefit everyone else. Jive daya. That is his desire. So he goes on and he starts distributing this knowledge to everybody. He starts distributing the mantra to everybody. And people are getting, ecstatic. People are getting, liberated. They are feeling that, oh, this is such a wonderful thing. And then his Guru calls him and he tells him that, why are you doing this? You were told not to do this. So he said, Gurudev, I am doing this because you told me that everyone else will get liberated. So I don't mind myself going to hell, but everyone else is getting liberated, and that is what I want to do. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, devotees of Lord Krishna, are more merciful than Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is so merciful, he has given us the Bhagavad Gita and he has told us that, okay, you should go and distribute this knowledge to everyone, to devotees, and then you will become dearmost to me. But a devotee of Lord Chaitanya goes one step further. He makes no discrimination, like Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda was distributing this mantra to Jagai and Madai. They were so fallen. But Lord Nityananda wants to deliver each and every one. So like in today's verse, we are seeing, like Prabhupada is writing in the purport, people have lost their aim of life. They have completely lost their vision. So when we go and distribute books, we must realize that this is the mission of my spiritual master. He wants to let this 2 months be actively engaged in serving the mission of my spiritual master. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriyo Aika. Whatever Prabhupada, we have some quotes of Srila Prabhupada, so I will go to, let me see if, Windows. Yeah. So let us hear what Srila Prabhupada, what was his desire for all of us. So Srila Prabhupada, some quotes on book distribution. So I will complete that what I was saying. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, whatever Guru has said from his mouth, Chitte te Koryo Aika, I make it one with my heart. That means I live by the instructions of my spiritual master. And Prabhupada, what are his instructions by which I have to live and I have to make Prabhupada's instructions one with my heart? These are his instructions. Let's read. In this modern godless civilization, everyone is greatly suffering due to lack of real knowledge of Krishna. And our task is very great and very important. You see, our task is very great and very important. We must deliver this pure science of God to everyone and give them the chance to make their lives successful. So he is saying, we must deliver this pure science of God to everyone and give them the chance to make their lives successful. In another place he says, please distribute books, distribute book, distribute book. A greater mridanga, we are chanting, playing our mridanga, that is this mridanga. It is heard within the room or little more. But this mridanga, which is this mridanga is referring to? Books, will go home to home, country to country, community to community, this mridanga. If one reads one shloka, his life will be successful. If one shloka, one word, this is such nice things. Therefore, we are stressing so much. Please distribute book, distribute book, distribute book. 3 times anything is said, it is like Veda Vakya. So how Prabhupada is stressing. In a letter he writes, distribute book, distribute book, distribute book. In a Bhagwatam lecture in LA, he's saying the same thing. Book distribution is also chanting. These books I have recorded and chanted and they are transcribed. It is spoken kirtanas. So book distribution is also chanting. These are not ordinary books. It is recorded chanting. Anyone who reads, he is hearing. Book distribution must not be neglected. He's giving this instruction. Our first business in this book distribution, our first business is this book distribution. If this book distribution is managed properly, pushed on with great enthusiasm and determination, and at the same time, if our men keep spiritually strong, then the whole world will become Krishna conscious. So I was covering some of the points that we have to remember. So you see, here he's saying we have to push on with great enthusiasm and determination. These are not, just like you see, we must realize that it is the most, if we are doing the work of Krishna. Imagine, if you're working for a big company, Google, Microsoft, you take pride. I'm working for Google, working for Microsoft, working for this, working for that. Now we are in the employment of Krishna, employment of Prabhupada. And our employment is distributing these books. And at the same time, if men keep spiritually strong. So you see, when we are distributing books, the most important thing is to remember that be just like Prabhupada when he was going to the West and he wrote that song, Markinde Bhagavata, that one, he wrote a song, and where he is feeling extremely humble and is feeling, how will I be able to convince them about Krishna consciousness? So very humbly he is going to give the message of Bhagavatam. So the same way, when we go to distribute books, we must chant our rounds and we must depend on Krishna. Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. Whom will I approach? How will I approach? How will he hear me? When I was distributing books, this was in 1998. And I had taken a set of books and I gave it to all my colleagues. With colleagues, it is possible. With your boss, sometimes you feel, what will my boss feel? He's an IT techie guy. And he's saying, why is he bringing Bhagavad Gita to me? You have, these different kinds of fears and these things are there. So when I went and gave to my boss, he took it. He was very happy. And now in my floor, my colleagues were there, my boss was there, my boss's boss was also there. So although I approached my boss, I was feeling a little hesitant to approach my boss's boss. He was a very big person. He was holding the whole account. And so I thought, no, I will not go and approach him. I don't know whether he will welcome me or not. He'll say, what is this that you're doing in your office? This is a working hours, you should be working and doing your work, not distributing books in the office. I was fearing like that. So I didn't approach him. And some few people took, my colleagues and my boss took. After about 7 days, he calls me to his office. He says, come to my office. I thought maybe he has come to know that the books are being distributed and he'll be unhappy with me and he will. So he calls me to his office and I'm very afraid and a little nervous. We were all very young at that time. I was like 23 or 24 years at that time. So he calls me and then he said, he took my name, that name, and he says, I heard you're distributing books everywhere. Bhagavad Gita? I said, yes, sir. I'm very afraid. And then he tells me, why didn't you bring me all these books? I'm waiting for you for last 7 days that you will come and approach me and ask me to buy books. I want to buy Bhagavad Gita, but you never came. So I thanked him and he took a whole set of books. So you see, you will be protected by Krishna. Krishna is only seeing how much desire you have, how much conviction you have, how much you feel for the suffering soul, and how much effort you are putting. In book distribution, we should not be fruitive, go by results, although we have some results, but we have to do that because, but don't be fruitive, don't go by result, just go with the pure desire. Prabhupada delivered me, and Prabhupada's desire was to deliver everyone. And Prabhupada has given this desire of his delivering everyone to me. I have to fulfill this desire of Prabhupada, just like a child fulfills the desire of his father, of his parent. So we are all children of Prabhupada. So imagine if you're going on the road or on the street or in the company or in an exhibition, there are so many different ways of distribution. All of you know that, and we can keep discussing about that. But we must remember you're not alone. You're going with Krishna, you're going with Prabhupada. And anyone, these books are like, Prabhupada writes in one place that simply if they touch a book, they will be delivered, they'll be benefited. Not reading, simply touching. So many devotees, how they distribute books, when somebody comes to you, first thing that you should do, you don't try to explain. First thing that you should do when he approaches your place where you are, whether in a stall or exhibition, hand over a book put the book in his hand. That itself is a spiritual book, powerful book. It goes in his hand, already some transformation will happen. And then he's ready to hear your message. And how to distribute books? When you're distributing books, of course you can explain to them something from the book. But you can just read a line from this book. That's the best way to preach. You can sort out some selected words. And then you can, just like I will read, this is Easy Journey to Other Planets. In this material world, you read out, it will take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, he'll hear you. And because you are reading, you can preach also, you can convince him also, you can read. These are different methods to distribute books. Just simply, you can mark some few lines, some interesting lines, and then you can just read out. In this material world, someone is enjoying and someone is not enjoying. But actually, and when people come at stalls to us for this, actually everybody is suffering in the material world today. I was hearing, some devotee was telling me, we have ordered a lot of books this year for all of you. We've ordered a huge number. So I was seeing that the number that has been ordered this year is far greater than the numbers that we ordered last year. We should have ordered 8% more or 10% more. But we have ordered far larger. So I heard from the TSF team, from Ratnangada Prabhu and Pradita Narsam Prabhu, that all over the country, spiritual book sales have increased like anything. We are also selling more books. Our Gita counter is selling more books. Gita Press, Gorakhpur is selling more books. Every spiritual publication, whoever they are selling more books, because people are hankering, people are suffering, and they are looking for books which can help them, alleviate them from their suffering. So this is the situation. So that is the mood they're coming with. Now see this one, it says, in this material world, someone is enjoying and someone is not enjoying. But actually, everyone is suffering. Although some people think that they are enjoying, whereas others realize they are suffering. Actually, everyone is suffering. Who in this material world does not suffer disease? Who does not suffer from old age? Who does not die? No one wants to grow old or suffer from disease, but everyone must do so. Where then is the enjoyment? This enjoyment is all nonsense, because within this material world there is no enjoyment. It is simply our imagination. One should not think this is enjoyment and this is suffering. Everything is suffering. Like this was just one. Like this, many interesting things are there, and you could just you can, we don't have time. I wanted to read out some more pages from this, but everyone should preach and distribute books if they want to please me in the best way. Whenever I get report of my book selling, I feel strength. Regarding book sales figures, please endeavor in this way. This is the only solace of my life. When I hear that my books are selling so nicely, I become energetic like a young man. Prabhupada he was 80 years old, and this is what he's saying. And you know, this letter continues further because the book sales were so high and during those days. So this letter continues further, and he writes, and I heard, it's very nice to hear that even our printers are surprised at the rate at which we are selling books. So printers were also surprised. How come Bhaktivedanta Swami books are selling so much? So the sales figures, because we were putting pressure on them to print more and distribute more, because that was the rate at which the books were selling. Book distribution is solid. Even if they do not read, simply by touching, they are benefited. It is so much powerful. Therefore, we stress so much in the book distribution. Somehow or other, if the book goes in one hand, he will be benefited. At least he will see, oh, they have taken so much price. Let me see what is there. Glorification of Srila Prabhupada by different personalities. Sri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister. I brought Bhagavad Gita as a gift for the Japanese PM. I don't have anything better than Gita to give, and nor does the world has anything better to receive. Sri Vishveshwar Tirtha Swamiji, he was then Pontiff of Pejawar Mutt. Just as Bhagirath brought the Ganga to India, Swami Prabhupada brought the Bhakti Ganga to the whole world. Tulsi Gabbard, former US representative, she has some roots in India, Indian origin. If not for the compassion of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I never would have achieved this supreme treasure of Krishna's holy names. Dr. Thomas Hopkins, there is little question that this edition is one of the best books available on the Gita and devotion. Prabhupada's translation is an ideal blend of literal accuracy and religious insight. George Harrison, who became a devotee by reading Prabhupada books, he's the one who sponsored the Krishna book. You know, we were not having money to print Krishna book, and devotees were trying how to get money to print Krishna books. It was George Harrison who sponsored the entire first lot of Krishna book. So Srila Prabhupada has already had an amazing effect on the world. There's no way of measuring it. One day, I just realized, God, this man is amazing. So you see, when you go for book distribution, you must realize what is the value. These are priceless jewels. These are not ordinary book. And just like, you know, if you're doing some work for the company will protect you, right? You're on a mission of the company. We are on the mission of Prabhupada, the pure devotee, and Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So just go with enthusiasm, chant your rounds nicely, don't be fruitive, and if you get fruits, think of Krishna. It was Krishna. And sometimes you may put in a lot of effort also, and the fruits may not come. It is all a plan of the Lord. Our duty is to go and reach out to more and more people. Spend more time. Krishna is only seeing, Prabhupada is only seeing the effort that you're putting in. He's not seeing your score was this much, his score was this much. No. That is on some plane, that's a different matter. Krishna may be more pleased with you, even though your score may be less. He may be pleased with, he's seeing the mood in which, and he knows the situation, how you are making effort to go and distribute. All that is what Krishna is seeing. So we all have to just make a sincere effort to please Prabhupada. That's all. So some milestones and awards that we have to recognize the service that all of you will be doing. This is there every year we have this. Milestone 1, Lakshmi points 35,000. milestone 2, 65,000, 3 is 1 lakh, 4 is 1 lakh 30, and 5 is 1 lakh 75. And this year we have a special milestone 6, 3.5 L Lakshmi point. So basically this is just ways and means to encourage. During Prabhupada's time also it was happening. Prabhupada said, yes, to encourage someone for book distribution, you may give him, he would say that you can give him a plate of Mahaprasadam or some things like that. So all of you are putting in a lot of effort, will be, distributing Prabhupada books. So a way to acknowledge all of your efforts. And so this year there will be no gift vouchers like we have had in the past. We'll all these devotees who cross these milestones, the team who crosses these milestones of this many Lakshmi point, we are handpicking very special spiritual gifts for everyone, those who will be crossing this. So everyone will receive, and you will remember these things, that yes, this was the blessings that you received from Srila Prabhupada. And these are the award categories, top 5 teams based on maximum Lakshmi points. So it has always been like that. And those who distribute the maximum number of Bhagwatam and CC sets, they will also be acknowledged, special acknowledgement for them. And the 2 best distributors from team who reach the 5th milestone. So 5th milestone is 1.75. So all those who cross, the lead members will have an opportunity to nominate 2 of the best distributors. And biggest bulk order who gets, he will also be given a special recognition. But we have some rules for bulk orders, and please contact our devotees. Please contact Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Prabhu for understanding how this bulk order will work. And team distributed maximum number of SP biography books. These are the different biography books. If you want to promote Prabhupada's saintly life and Prabhupada's qualities, different devotees have written. So this is Srila Prabhupada in Calcutta, a special biography written by Rajshekhar Das Brahmachari Prabhu. So you can distribute these books also. They are different biographies. So these biographies are recollections of Prabhupada by different devotees, like we have read Leelamrita by Satsarup Maharaj and Satsarup Prabhu, and so these are all the biographies. Prabhupada in South India, and Gargamani. So this is adventurous history of Hare Krishna movement narrated by one of Srila Prabhupada's earliest disciples, and the Sing, Dance and Pray, which we went to UK and we did a UK tour and many places in India also. So all these books. So, and then in Telugu we have one Vishwa Vijeta, and in Malayalam we have Mahayogi. So these are all special biographies. So please distribute these books also. And these are the dates. Marathon inauguration ceremony we are doing today. And the last date of issue of books will be 28th Jan. And the last date for returning books or settling accounts, it will either be 4th of Feb or it will be 11th of Feb. So this particular thing we will let you know. Usually it is a 2-month, that is 3rd December to 4th February. But sometimes we extend it by a week because devotees are very enthusiastic and they want to do more and more. And so we have that date as flexible, and we will communicate to you as we go forward. So I think all of you are aware of the system and processes. So Mahaprabhu and along with him Pradipta Narasimha Prabhu, can you please stand? All of you know these 2 devotees. They are overseeing the Krishna Ashraya services and the book marathon services, and both of them will help you in any queries or any questions that you have. There will be some book distribution sevas assigned in the temple also. So you can take use of that opportunity, and we will be going to, instead of, you may be distributing books on your own in a team, or if you wish, you can also join our team who will be distributing books. Our TSF team, BBT team is there. You can do book distribution in the Gita counter also. So the one way is to go out in a team. So the team size is 8 plus 1. 8 devotees form a team with a team leader, 9 devotees. And you can do that way. Or you can join our team. You can join the Gita counter, and all those things will also be considered. There will be special points that will be awarded to you if you join our team also. So books can be purchased online also, and these are the sites. We will send all this information to you, how to purchase, if somebody doesn't have money, he says, I want to buy online, you can give him this information of where to buy online, and that is another way that you can do it. And the marathon coordinators, so under Ratnangada Prabhu and Pradipta Prabhu is handling both Krishna Ashraya and the TSF book distribution. So under him there will be Ranganath and Madhu, and they can be contacted. All the issues will be happening from which place, Pradipta? The issues will be happening? Next to the BBT stores. Every year it has been happening like that. Last year it was in Ishanya office. For the convenience of devotees, we have moved where? Okay, last year we had moved. So issues will be from next to the BBT go down only itself. Now, and you can register as Krishna Ashraya team, as folk team, or as KL team. This is how we have been doing every year. So I request all the devotees, it's a special time of the year to please Prabhupada. Very quickly you will get mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And once one devotee had asked Prabhupada, I'll just take 5 more minutes. I have one very interesting pastime to share with all of you. But before that, once one devotee had asked Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, if we die during Sankirtan, if we die during book distribution, will we go back to Godhead? Because devotees take so much of risk in preaching, right? Nityananda Prabhu almost, he was hurt with that stone and blood started coming out. So devotees take risk. Actually, why devotees ask this question? Because in the West, devotees were arrested and put in the jail for distributing books. I don't know how many of you are aware. And still they would distribute books. They would come out of the jail and again distribute books. You see the determination? None of us are in that situation. Here, because of this ISKCON Bangalore brand, we go and they welcome us. So don't fear. Don't feel, just go with a humble heart, be dependent on Krishna and distribute books. Know that you are pleasing Prabhupada. There cannot be anything better that you can be doing. So 2-month surrender. What is surrender? Distributing Prabhupada books in this 2 months. So Prabhupada, so question was asked, will devotees go back to Godhead if they die during book distribution? Prabhupada said, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajatyante Kalavaram Tam Tam. If you think of Krishna while you are dying in book distribution, you may go back to Godhead. If you are not thinking of Krishna, then you will not go back to Godhead. You will go whatever you are thinking. So devotees were not very happy with this answer. They wanted something more. So then Prabhupada said, but I promise you that devotees who are doing book distribution till their last day, if they are doing book distribution, that means always engaged in book distribution, then Lord Chaitanya will personally come and take you home back to Godhead. So book distribution is a very safe boat. This boat is, if you are sitting on this boat, no matter what you are thinking, if you are simply sitting on this boat of book distribution and distributing books, this boat is going to Goloka, with Srila Prabhupada as the captain. So whoever is sitting in the boat, no matter what he is, what his position is, what his mental thinking is going back to Godhead. So then devotees were very happy. So our preaching work will be measured by the quantity of books we distribute. So continue ever increasingly. Now, this is the last point. So this is a very interesting thing that I happened to come upon recently. Anybody has answer to this 2 question? The first book distribution, who did and in which year? Generally we know book distribution means when Prabhupada went to America, 1966-65 he landed. 66 all the books started coming out one by one. By 68 the first edition of Bhagavad Gita, and then teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and then the book distribution started, right? Actually, book distribution did not start only, it did start. Prabhupada started it in 1966 and all that. But there's a very interesting story to it and some inspiration that we can take from it. So, the first book distribution was done by these 3 pure devotees. Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. They are the associates of Lord Chaitanya, devotees of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had disappeared from this world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared from this world in 1533 or 35, or 34, like that. And so after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had the 6 disciples, Rup Sanatan and all the Goswamis. Then you had Raghunath Das Goswami. Then you had Krishnadas Kaviraj. And Krishnadas Kaviraj's direct disciple is Narottam Das Thakur. So by this time, Narottam Das Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had almost, he had wound up his pastimes. And so these 3 devotees are responsible for carrying on the message. In fact, these are the 3 devotees who organized the first Gaur Purnima festival in Navadvip. They are the ones who had organized it, the first Gaur Purnima. So they were told by their spiritual master, Krishnadas Kaviraj and all others, to distribute books. Now, during those times there was no printing technology. How was books being distributed? If they had to distribute, they had to handwrite a copy. So imagine if today we had to handwrite a copy and distribute. They were doing like that. And so all the books were written on palm leaves, and there is a letter from Narottam Das Thakur to Srila Jiva Goswami. And he was submitting to Jiva Goswami annual book distribution scores. You see, even he was submitting the scores. The pure devotees were submitting the book distribution scores to their spiritual master, pure devotee. And this is for the year 1579. These were the book distribution scores of the devotees. It's nice to have a look at this. Srinivas Acharya's book distribution scores. Bhagwatam, the book name and the number of books. That's what the score. We also have this with us. Although we have the point, but we also have this data with us. Bhagwatam with Vaishnav Toshani 6. Jnanananda's songs. Govinda Das songs 11, Narottam Das Thakur's Pratna 11, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 book, Chaitanya Bhagavata 22. So you see how these devotees were Narottam Das Thakur's book distribution score. Bhagavatam 2 sets. Imagine Bhagavatam to copy the 18,000 verses, but they were doing this. Prarthana 56 books, Chaitanya Chandramrita 5 books, Chaitanya Bhagavata 45 books, and like this, Shyamananda Prabhu's books distribution scores. These were the books that they distributed for the entire year. And then he writes, Narottam Das Thakur is writing. He concludes the letter to Jiva Goswami when he's submitting the book distribution scores. He writes this following emotional letter. Until we are able to develop another type of technology to print books, due to the difficulty involved in creating books by hand, which is also being neglected. Hand copying is so difficult, and that also was not happening. So most of our book distribution programs will be postponed. Then he writes, we are sure that one day some great magnanimous person will come and will develop the movement of ecstatic love of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributing books all over the world. Who is that person? Srila Prabhupada ki. The letter continues, until then, what will we persons who are poor, bereft and abominable do? He's taking on a humble position. What is the benefit of discussing the stories of Lord's incarnation? What is the benefit of worshipping deities? What is the benefit of giving musical recitation, doing kirtan? What is the benefit of chanting Lord's holy names on the beads when we have such small scores? So basically, although this book distribution, maybe even they were submitting scores and so even if you distribute, everyone should enthusiastically participate. Know that you're doing a very, very sacred, Prabhupada writes, I'll conclude with this quote, book distribution is my life. If book distribution increases, I will never die. I will be living for centuries. Srila Prabhupada ki. So happy book distribution to everyone. And I once again humbly request everyone, please don't miss this opportunity. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to earn the blessings, to earn the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's a very, very sacred spiritual service that we can render to Srila Prabhupada in whatever, in your capacity, and you can put in a little extra effort, and you see how wonderfully Prabhupada will reciprocate with all of you. In the, we have all throughout the next 60 days, we'll keep hearing wonderful stories from different devotees, explaining their, enthusiasm and explaining their wonderful realization and revelation of how, how they were inspired by Srila Prabhupada books. So it's a transcendental activity. Just, these are all wonderful, books by Prabhupada. Just carry these books, and to whoever you can, just go with a feeling that I want to earn Prabhupada blessings, and I want to, I am an instrument for spreading Krishna's message, so I too will be blessed. And with that mood, you go, and surely you will all have wonderful results. And again, I'm repeating, don't be dejected. Don't go by that, okay, this day I could not. It is all a plan of the Lord. It's only the effort that you're going to put in is what is seen by Lord, not really the result, not really the volume, the effort. And there is results may not come, but the effort is on us. So it is just the effort. So with this feeling, you go, and you see, you will be blessed by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada book distribution marathon ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you. Hare Krishna.